we will also record the session for future viewing. We will post it. And if you would like to review what's being said today, then you can do so. Okay. So as mentioned, this will be the list of content for today. And we will start with the Spanish digital nomad visa. Of course, as you all know, the whole purpose of such programs is to allow remote employees or freelancers to relocate, and so that they can provide their services from, let's say, Spain, in this case, to other countries, okay? In terms of financial resources, there is one requirement, which is your current earnings must equal at least 2 Spanish minimum monthly salaries. So we're looking at those 2,762 euro per month, okay? So any form of proof of said income is admissible. Of course, your contracts that you might have with your clients, whether it's invoices, whether it's your income tax filing, all of these will be used or could be used for the purpose of showing that you actually earned at least this level of money, okay? So, of course, for the purpose of the application, you should be able to show that this relationship with your employer, with your clients, has been in place for at least 1 year. Okay, so the whole idea behind this is not to present or submit your application when perhaps your activity as a remote employee or provider of services, freelance, has just started. Okay, so we need to be able to show that said relationship has been in place for at least 1 year. Okay. In terms of the employer and client's business, then the relationship with the employer-client needs to have been in place for a minimum of 3 months. Okay. Then, this being a remote employee visa or freelance visa, the idea is that 100% of the remote work would have to be for foreign companies. So if you're an employee of whatever company you're providing services to, then you can only provide services to foreign companies. However, as a freelance, you get a maximum of 20% of that remote work for Spanish companies, okay? So in one scenario, employee, 100% remote work for foreign companies. Freelancer, you could split it 80-20. Of course, you could go as high as 100% for these services to be provided to foreign companies. Okay, so again, summing the presentation or the slide itself, 2,762 euros minimum income or monthly income to be proven. Your employer or client must have been in business for at least 1 year prior to the application. Your relationship with the employer or client must have been existing for at least 3 months. And the split of services provided to foreign companies or local companies meaning Spanish companies, for employees, it's just 100% foreign companies only. Freelancer split could be 80-20. Now, for the purposes of the application itself, there are actually 2 ways to go about it. Okay, you can apply from your home country through the Spanish consulate, and then you get a 1-year duration visa. During that time, you come into Spain and apply for the actual residency card. Okay, so the initial card will get you 3 years of residency, and then you can renew it for an additional 2 years. Okay, so this means that overall you get that 1 year first and 3 years subsequently. However, you can also enter Spain on, let's say, a valid Schengen visa and apply for the TR card directly in Spain, and then getting your 3-year residency card immediately. Okay, so it's good to know that you have both options depending on how quick you want the process to be, or if you already have or would like to secure a Schengen visa in order to allow that direct application in Spain. And we have done, gone through both routes for our clients. Some have initiated the process in their home countries, others directly in Spain. And it's important to note that in terms of this specific type of application for digital nomads, when you apply directly in Spain for the TR card, this is actually under the purview of a special migration unit or office, and it can be as fast as about 20 business days, okay, from the moment the application is submitted. The visa might take a little longer, 1 to 2 months, but the actual TR card, again, to be applied once you enter Spain, that can be as fast as those 20 business days, okay? In terms of the reunification of family members, the good news is that this sponsorship or reunification can take place simultaneously with the main applicant. It can also be subsequent if you would choose to do so, right? But if not, you can all apply at the same time. And that includes spouse, children under legal age, and even over 18 and above, if they're still studying and financially dependent. Then the main applicants or sponsors' parents, if they're 65, over 65 years old, and spouses' parents, again, if they depend financially on the sponsor, okay? In terms of financial resources, you will recall in the last slide, we saw those 2,700 euro. Okay, that's for the main applicant. And then we would have to add 75% of a minimum monthly salary per family member. So we know that the minimum monthly salary is 1,300. So we would have to add 75% of that amount for each family member. Okay, so we would be looking, I don't know, roughly 900 or 1,000 euro extra per family member. Okay, and then permanent residency is possible after 5 years, although the route to permanent residency is a little bit stringent in the sense that you can only leave Spain to qualify for permanent residency for a total of 1 year in those 5 years, okay? But nevertheless, and especially for Philippine citizens, citizenship might be the way to go. And of course, I will deal with that further on in the presentation. One, of course, cause of concern is how about my taxes? Okay, let's say if I will be spending most of my time in Spain, if I will take my family with me, if I will generate my income from work provided whilst I'm in Spain, how will my taxes look? Okay, now the good news is that you can qualify for the so-called impatriates regime, which is devised specifically for those who become new tax residents in Spain. Okay, If you have not been a tax resident in Spain over the past 5 years before your application, then you would qualify. And the advantages are that a flat tax rate of 24% on your worldwide freelance income or salary income would be applied to you. Okay, so, and this is very significant because, of course, tax rates in Europe, depending on how much you earn, can actually be quite high. And here we're looking at just that 24%. Okay, capped at 600,000 euro. If you earn more than that, then the excess, the balance, will be charged at normal rates. Another piece of good news is that foreign income is not subject to income tax. Okay, so if you have other forms of income, let's say dividends or interest or rental income from other countries, this will not be taxed in Spain. The duration of this tax regime is 6 years, and very important, family members may also benefit from it. Moving on to the Portuguese digital nomad visa program. The computing is a little different. So you apply for the visa first in any event. Okay, there is no direct TR card like we saw in Spain. You apply for the visa first, which is valid for around 4 months. And then you have those 4 months to enter Portugal and apply for your TR card. The initial TR card is valid for 2 years, and then you can actually renew it for 3. So it's kind of reverse of the Spanish TR card. Spain 3 plus 2, here we look at 2 plus 3. You can also reunify family members, very similar to what we saw in Spain. So we have the spouse or partner, children under legal age, or 18 and above if they are financially dependent. Then the main applicant's parents and in-laws, again, if there is that element of financial dependency, and even minor siblings that might be under the applicant's custody. Okay, so in general terms, both in Spain and Portugal, for the purpose of reunification, we can look upwards, ascendants, downwards, descendants. Generally, we would not look to the sides. Okay, so siblings, except for here in the Portuguese case, minor siblings under the applicant's custody. In terms of financial resources in Portugal, the threshold is actually higher. Okay, so we're looking at 4 minimum monthly salaries over the past 3 months before the application. So you would need to show income of 3,480 euro per month over the past 3 months at least. Okay. In terms of financial resources for the purpose of sponsorship of family members, per additional adult, you would add 50% of 1 minimum monthly salary, so 50% of 870, and per child, 30% of 870. Okay. Then again, permanent residency is possible after 5 years. I will not go into the Portuguese business visa for now. In terms of citizenship, and of course, this is something of great importance today to increase your chances of mobility, to increase possibility of getting in and out, not only into Spain and Portugal, but also other member countries in the Schengen area, right? that would allow you to establish yourself, say, in France, in Germany, in Italy, other members of the EU with minimum fuss. So once you become an EU citizen, you do not have to apply for visas for any of these other countries. Okay. And also, as we know, Spanish passport is among the top 3, if I'm not mistaken, of the strongest passports in the world, allowing you visa-free access to over, I think it's 170 countries. Okay. So, can I apply for citizenship? There are 2 tiers. The 2-year residence period for citizens of countries that have cultural ties to Spain. And that does include, of course, citizens of Philippines and the Latin American community. Okay. Plus, you get full dual citizenship. There is no need to waive or give up your citizenship of origin. Okay. For other nationalities, a 10-year period is required, and they don't get the benefit of the full dual citizenship. So Portugal, for now, and I say for now because there are some potential amendments to the Portuguese citizenship law, which are currently in the works. It is a 5-year residence period, and full dual citizenship is allowed. Very important. Are periods of absence allowed? Yes. So the question is, what is the minimum time that I can spend in Spain in order to achieve that citizenship status? Okay. So in Spain, if you fall in that 2-year threshold or tier, so again, citizens of the Philippines, you cannot remain outside of Spain for more than 3 consecutive months at a time. Okay, so how would this look like? Year 1, 3 months in, 3 months out. Again, 3 months in, 3 months out. If you want to spend more than that in Spain, of course you can. Okay. If you're looking at how can I break it up between my time in Spain and my time in the Philippines, the maximum time you're allowed to remain away from Spain, again, is 3 months at a time. So that's why year 1, 3 in, 3 out, 3 in, 3 out. Year 2, same thing, 3 months in, 3 months out, 3 in, 3 out. After your 2 years, then you can apply for your citizenship. Okay. And if you're in the second tier, the 10-year residence period, you can remain away for 6 consecutive months at a time. So that would be 6 months in, 6 months out, each year until you reach your 10th year. And in the Portuguese case, you can actually spend over the total duration of your TR, temporary residence card, you can remain away for 6 consecutive months, so consecutively, or 8 months overall. Okay, non-consecutive. That's how it works. Of course, the benefits of citizenship are well known. You have full freedom of movement throughout the Schengen area and live, work, or study in any EU member country, as I had mentioned just now. Of course, for people with children and that might want to expand their business or professional opportunities in the future, then by becoming a citizen of the EU, you can avail of lower lower university fees. Okay. Then once you become a citizen, there are no minimum stay requirements. If you want to go back to your home country or any other country, you can do so. There are no strings attached in terms of coming back for a period of time or so forth. You do not need to do that. And then, of course, once you become an EU citizen, then family reunification or sponsorship becomes a lot easier in terms of the formalities, but you can also expand on the family members that can actually reunify. Some further questions. So as a Spanish Portuguese citizen, will I be considered a tax resident in Spain and Portugal? No, only if you fulfill the criteria to become a tax resident. So usually tax residency is measured by the following criteria. If you spend more than 183 days in a year, or if your main place of business is in Spain or Portugal, or if you live with your family in Spain and Portugal. So all these details, all these little elements can lead to the establishment of tax residency in the country. Okay, but just by becoming citizen alone, you will not be considered a tax resident. Okay, meaning once you are a citizen of Spain or Portugal and you go back to your home country and spend there and you work there and so on and so forth, you will not be considered a tax resident. Okay. Now, a question that pops up very frequently: for the purpose of my citizenship application, must I take an exam? So the answer is yes. In Spain, there are two exams that we look at. One is on Spanish Constitution, culture, and history, a little bit like in the US. Okay. And applicants must also pass what is known as A2 level in Spanish language. Okay. In the European Common Framework of Languages, we have three different levels: A, B, and C. A level, A1, A2, A3. B level, B1, B2, B3, and then C1, C2. Okay. A1 is the easiest. C2 is the hardest. Okay. And you're just required an A2 level. So it's mentioned, very basic level of Spanish. Same thing with Portugal. Now, applicants must pass an A2 test in Portuguese. Again, one of the possible amendments to the citizenship law pertains to a similar, perhaps, exam as Spanish one for culture, history, constitution, so forth. Okay, but that's still not passed, and it will be debated in the near future. Okay. So nothing to worry about. There are plenty of people who come from countries that do not use the Roman alphabet. So China, I don't know, Bangladesh, and they can all pass. Okay, or for the most part. I mean, there are really no inherent difficulties in passing these exams and attaining Spanish citizenship or Portuguese citizenship, especially when, of course, there are so many words in Tagalog that come from Spanish. A few rankings in terms of digital nomads in both countries. So if you look at nomad.com, city of Lisbon is considered number 2. Okay, number 2 in preference and desirability, if you like. Okay, Barcelona would be number 4. If you look at visaguide.world, Spain stands out as the number 1 country for digital nomads, Portugal as number 8. If we look at the cost of living, 2024 by consultancy firm Mercer, then Barcelona is ranked at number 66, Madrid at 76, and Lisbon 100. So it's quite low, and of course, very far behind from the usual suspects: your London, your Paris, your New York, your Dubai, and so forth. Okay, so again, good value for money. you can actually stretch your euros worth in any of these two countries. Finally, Internation's expat city ranking of 2024. So you have 4 Spanish cities in the top 10, Valencia, Malaga, Alicante, and Madrid, and you have Lisbon just outside the top 10, number 11. Okay, so it seems, however way you look at it, that any of these two countries offer great opportunities for digital nomads, both in terms of connections, use of internet, in terms of cost of living, in terms of lifestyle. So if you want to explore things a little further, now's your chance. We can get into the question and answer session. Feel free to post or ask any questions that you might have. And we'll be very, very happy to assist and answer these queries. So please move along.
You got only if one get the 6 points. It's one for one.
Oh, paano niya nandito din?